excited to get this conversation started. I know, these two women obviously need no introduction. They're icons. And what's even better is I've learned through getting to know them that they've been really good friends for years and have helped each other and supported each other along the way. So this is going to be a fun conversation. And as we have our conversation, I want you all to think of some questions. If you want to write anything down, we're going to save a lot of time at the end if you want to have the mic and ask them a question at the end. But first, I do want to begin with Mayor Fuller. How did you get into public service, and when was that aha moment, that light bulb, that you were like, I'm a leader. Like, I need to continue this and use my voice?
Love that question because it comes right back to the chamber, wouldn't you know it? I backed into public service, and my invitation to all of you is to think about certainly serving on a board or commission, but also running for a select board or a school committee or mayor or a city council. I was tasked to be on a couple of commissions with Mayor David Cohen, looking at the, can you believe it, right back to the finances of the city of Newton. There was an open city council seat. We were aldermen back then. Ran for that in a contested race, served for 8 years, and then at a chamber breakfast, Craig Reedman, Seti Warren announced that he was not running for re-election as mayor. And I thought to myself, I'd been in my 8th year, probably past 7th year of city council, and said, let's see, let me go talk to Joe, my husband. I think I should raise my hand and say, consider me, because there was so much to be done, and learned enough about the city that I thought I could try to make a difference. So the aha moment, Craig, was right at the chamber breakfast.
Great, Kate, what was that? Oh, well, first, how did you decide to get in public service? What drew you to that? And then your aha moment.
So mine goes way, way back. So when I was 11 and I was substituting for Bobby McGuire's paper route, which I then had all the way to the day I went to college. My father, bless his soul, did it for me every Sunday. So when I lived on Lindbergh Road in Framingham, and the town came and they put up a new street name sign, and they spelled Lindbergh wrong. So I wrote them a nice note and I said, please change this sign and make it with the H. And they came right out and they did it. And I thought, wow, local government, if you ask them nicely, is very responsive. And that really is how I got started. And I ended up in careers in direct service in HR. But when I got to local government and I saw the impact that it has on ordinary people, as ordinary as, my sign is correct, that I really wanted to be a part of that. I worked in state government where you really don't see the people that you serve. It is true in local government that the people you serve will often follow you into the ladies' room and keep talking to you. But I'd rather have that than any other form of government. So that was my aha moment.
Do people ask you nicely for things?
I wouldn't wish this on anyone, but I was watching Paw Patrol yesterday with my grandson. I don't recommend it, but the little cat that's pink said, if you ask nicely and don't whine, it works. And I think that's true. People can ask you for something, and you will do it eventually, but if people are very, very nice, it's just so much easier to want to help people.
Yes, no, and Paw Patrol, of course. Okay, so you're climbing up the ladder. And there's probably a million things that you have to learn. What are the lessons that really stick with you that got you to the next level, to the next level, to the next level?
You want to start with me? Yeah. I think that you have to recognize that in the work that we do, we call it a mile wide and a foot deep. So we need to know so many things, and you can't know them all at once. So people say to me, how do you know all that? I said, well, I know it this week. So we always joke, if you ask me today what the opt-in stretch energy code rules are, I don't remember, but I knew them a year ago when I needed to know them, and that's fine. You need to know what you need to know now, and you know that there are people behind you who know them intricately, and you turn to them.
Nice. Mayor Fuller?
Two thoughts. One is Katie Wall and Jen Kyra, sitting right here, are deep experts on all things planning and housing. Laura Kreitzer, if I need to know something about CDBG, can go right there. Michelle Pizzi O'Brien, anything HR. And yet we also depend on our male allies. Anything planning. Hattie, Kerwin, Derek, right there. You asked me about something that's happening in the community. She'll be there. So you depend on people. Hire good people, nurture good people, support good people, and I will say, hire positive people. I'd say one other thing, particularly for the women in the room, just keep sharpening your numerical skills. You do have to be able to run the numbers. You'll have a CFO if you're lucky enough to be mayor, but you've got to be able to understand the basics. So just keep sharpening them. It matters.
It is so important to have a really good team behind you that you can turn to, Sarah, Jane, whoever that will help you out. And as we're talking about leadership, you both must come into work every day and maybe be thrown into, hey, I need, this and this is happening and this is happening. I mean, even in the newsroom, it is chaos when you walk in. There's so many things happening. And I'll start with you. How do you manage it when there are so many things going on and you're a leader and there is that uncertainty? How do you manage that?
Couple thoughts. This is absolutely true for Kate. You have a schedule for the day, and it's not every day, but many days something happens and throws it off. So you are, and it can be a long-term thing. This is the 5th year anniversary of the pandemic, folks. A little PTSD for all of us. That was a long, slow-burning crisis that went on for months that upended all of our lives. And but even yesterday, a legal thing came up midday. There was something came out about a lawsuit against the city, and there goes 2 hours. What was the decision? What's our response to it? What actions do we need to take? And again, you're dependent on your team. They will keep things moving along, and I'll duck out of what I was supposed to do, go do the crisis thing, and then duck back into the more usual routines of business. I'd say all of us keep nurturing our family lives because it's stressful. And if you can go, you have a good team around you at work, but don't ignore your family because you need them. That's really my mental health resources are particularly Joe and my kids and grandkids. A lot of joy there too.
Yes. Joy and Paw Patrol when it
Glue seems to be the thing.
Yes, yes. For me, just on the practical level, I have a list of things that I need to do every week, and it's clear to me, I'm holding it, what Kevin Keene, who's the chair of our board, says, don't leave that notebook unattended. So I really know what I have to do that week, and I'm very clear on that those are the things that I have to get done. Many times there are other people in my organization who will take the things that are sort of need to get done that week, and there are I think it comes with experience. You just have to give up on being able to do everything. Email will kill us. If you think you're going to get through your email every week, you're just not. And so I think it's really hard to admit that there are just some things that you can't do. I mean, you're supposed to get down to 3 things you can do, and that'll never happen in our profession. But you know, reading all the emails is one of those things that's just going to have to go. I think we're going to have to all make a pact about it, and just, you know, you can't do everything in a week, and nothing is the same as it is. But if you know the 3 things that absolutely have to be done that week, you can find a way to get them done.
I think I get about 500 emails a day. It is a lot of anxiety, but delete is the best button.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's true. Mayor Fuller, as you talk about it, and you have your team right here, as a leader, you know, how do you find, you know, you talk about hiring good people, nice people. What are those special qualities you look for in somebody that will be a good team to support you?
So we're in the public business. We're serving our residents, our businesses, our nonprofits, the people who come through Needham or Newton. So we're incredibly public facing, and we can never hit delete on an email. There has to be at least a touchback somewhere. What I'm looking for is competence, collaborative nature, positivity, definitely those soft skills. The smile when they're shaking the hand, the interest in putting up with stress and too much to do and not enough resources. And yet I would say the level of anxiety and distress among all the people we live with and work with in our cities has just gone up dramatically, and that's an erosion of trust and confidence in city and town employees or leaders. So it does have to be somebody who has that resiliency to still get up the next day. It's a grind sometimes, so I look for those qualities in people.
Kate?
I would echo the level of positivity and optimism is something that is critical for our organization. We always say too that we need people who are going to own it, and for me that's critical, because when I first started I felt like I was doing everything, and now I have a whole table of people over here, I won't name them, so there's more people in the room who work on our team, all of whom, you know, something tragic happened right now, any one of them I could say, can you go take that? Even if it's not in HR, or if it's not in finance or economic development, they're willing to take something and own it. And it's sometimes hard to suss that out when you're interviewing people, but those are the people in our organization who step up and get promoted, are people who are willing to take on work, take on responsibility, and own it themselves.
Okay, so let's say you have a really good team. Okay, really good people.
We both do.
You do? Raise your hand. They're,
Are you
all right here? Okay. So how do you inspire, especially women, to continue to take on like a leadership role and take it to that next step? Any advice?
So for me, that's what's the most hopeful for the future in local government right now, is that people are willing to step up and get promoted and take on roles of responsibility in an environment where radical, crazy people are accusing public servants of just about everything. And I don't mean in our own towns. Most of our people are incredibly supportive and welcoming, but we're hearing it all over the country. And so people who are willing to step up and say, yes, I want this promotion because I know I can make a difference in this profession, it's just so hopeful for me that local government is going to be the place, because it's such a noble profession. We are doing the work that on the ground that has to be done, and I think what Mayor Fuller and I would agree is that there's that old saying, you can't be what you can't see, and so for us, we've had an amazing success in bringing women into the workplace and into leadership roles because they see that there's a role for them, and we are collaboratively family friendly, and just really are trying to do everything we can so that people can have the pretend balance that they need. But there's some opportunity, right? We want to be the employer of choice for families, and that's one of the ways that we keep people motivated.
I love that. Dr. Fuller?
Agree with everything Kate said. I'll just add on a couple more things. I'm not sure I understood the word loyalty before I was mayor. I've heard it a lot. And it's not what I thought it meant prior to 8 years ago. What it means is we're all going to mess up sometimes. And our job, we hire and fire, is when a team member, and by the way, I mess up too, just not you, a team member messes up, that's the time to bring them in. Let's talk it through, what happened, what did we learn, and I got your back on this one. And we can also say, by the way, we did mess up and we'll do better next time. Let's talk it through, but let's figure it out and learn from it and move on and do better. And there are times where you do have to fire people, but you work with people, train them, mentor them, have their back, stand up for them, and grow them. And that gentleness and kindness and loyalty helps them develop and have the courage, I think, to go to that next level. We have our first female commissioner of public works in Newton. She's spectacular, and that's a man's world. You know, fire, DPW, and police. Those are still men's professions, and she's rocking it.
Our profession, a typical male profession.
And yes, mayor's first female mayor, very unusual to have female town managers.
I think we need a round of applause for that. Well, it is amazing what you both have done, and as you talk about, Mayor Fuller, growing and developing talent on your team, how important is, mentorship? I know you both go back, I don't even know, 20 plus years. And how important is it finding other women to really help build you up and help you be like the best leader you can be?
So I'll start. I have some of the best mentors I ever had were men, actually, and who gave me the courage and the support to take on this role. But I do look to a lot of women and what they've done in their careers to inspire me. I always say that Lieutenant Governor is a hero of mine, Kim Driscoll, because she came from our field. She was doing this when her kids were in school. She always had time for me. We've had meetings with her. We've commiserated. She's been somebody, frankly, Sunita Williams, she's practically my age, and she was in space for 9 months. But I tell people now, I said to a colleague, a lot of the people who were my mentors have retired out, and they've gone, and he said, look down. And I said, well, you're right. There's absolutely no question in my mind that the people in this room who are working in our organization now have taught me more than any other mentor. Because they come from, frankly, a different generation, and they have new ideas, and they're willing to say to me, is that right? Are you sure? And I just love it because it's an attitude of collegiality, but also of learning that, when I started in the 90s, we shared a PC on my floor in town hall. We had a cart and we rolled it around, and now the world is totally different. But so people who are coming behind me have just taught me so much, and I'm so grateful for them.
I'll also pick up on Kim Driscoll. She's our lieutenant governor. She was a mayor for 16 years. Before that, a town manager, city manager, town manager, and then assistant town manager before that. she was the best mayor in Massachusetts. And she was and is my role model on how to think clearly, speak clearly, know where true north is, be in communication with all sorts of people. She's so darn accessible. I mean, during the strike, I talked to her once or twice a day, a year ago. So it is great to have role models out there. It really does help. I'd also just say for the women in the room, check in on each other. It is still harder, I think, in many instances to be a female in this world. I got just the loveliest email. I was telling Kate this morning from a female resident. I don't even know her. Just checking in. How you doing? Heard some of that school committee, and I couldn't believe what was saying to you. And thinking of you. Just that moment of kindness and humanity is lovely and so necessary in this world.
That is a really good point, and just checking in and just saying, hey, how you doing? Yeah, happy Friday. With that, I do want to check in with you all and see if anybody has a question for Mayor Fuller or Kate. Any questions? Okay.
Yes, and this is perhaps, I'm Jean McKnight, and town meeting member and former planning board member in Needham. And this is more a comment than a question for Kate Fitzpatrick. But when I look back over the decades of her service as town manager, what I think of are, I think it sums up to 9 major building projects in our town, including our wonderful addition and renovation of our historic town hall. And it seems to me they all came in, you got the financing for them, they all came in on time, under budget, and maybe Kate or maybe Mayor or two, there are projects in Newton. What is your role in that process, and how did you do it so well?
That's a great question, Jean, thank you. I think when people ask me about accomplishments, other than human staff issues, which I'm so proud of, a lot of the built environment is something that I'm very, very proud of having done, maybe more than 9. I was counting up this morning the number of parcels that we acquired for building some of those buildings, and it's something like 12. It's just something that was unheard of. But I think for me, I always say that once you get the money for it, that's the easy part. It's hard if you're the construction people, right? But our job is to have somebody give us an idea and then just make it happen. It's to make the connections. It's to meet with all the stakeholders. It's to do all the work to get it to the level of the public saying, yes, we're willing to pay our money for that. And I think that is probably one of the biggest and most important jobs that we have. I really do feel like in Needham, I'll tell you my secret, when I am sure that having a particular meeting fills me with dread, I know that's the meeting I'm supposed to have. And so, you can't build a fire station and not be next door to the person who lives there, but you can meet with them early and find out what they're most worried about and say, I don't think I can probably do anything about that, but fill them in every 6 months. And those people will likely not be the no vote, right? But if you don't do that, it's wrong. So I learned that one the hard way, James.
When I was running for mayor the first time, I remember going to a group, an activist group of older residents who were lobbying for a new senior center. we'd never had one in Newton. We were working out of a former branch library. And I said, absolutely, let's get this done. It was in my inaugural speech. We're going to build a new senior center. Everybody likes older adults. Everybody believes in supporting our seniors. It took years and pain to decide on the location. Everybody liked it, but just not next door. And there are no fire sirens at senior centers. It's not like the trucks are coming in and out at 1 a.m. waking you up. But yep, you stick with it, remember the goals, a zillion public meetings, a lot of discussions with the potential neighbors, and yep, the ribbon cutting will be, it looks like, I don't know yet whether it's October, November, or December, but it's happening this year. It takes just a lot of your time, amazing communication, and the willingness to take a lot of arrows, because people in Needham and Newton have really strong opinions.
Yes. Senior center. Who got that? That makes 10.
And we've got a wonderful one in a great location with a good vibe.
It took 10
and
years to
great
find a
programs.
location.
Yeah.
Anybody?
So I'm Connie Barr from Needham, on the school committee for a long time. Kate and other people in this room a long time. I think Mayor Fuller is not stepping down at this time, but I don't know Needham as well. But Kate, you're making a big change. And thinking about changes, it's hard to let go of a lot of what you've done. How are you managing that with whatever you're willing to share, besides Paw Patrol?
Right. Well, I will say Mayor Fuller is also stepping down. So we came in and go out, literally together. I don't know yet. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. Local government, a colleague of mine said, I feel local government on the cellular level. So local government will always be what I'm going to be doing. I will spend some time, this is my saving democracy suit, so I will be out on your behalf doing something to make sure, but helping to inspire and coach leaders in local government is my next group.
I've got more time than Kate, so Kate's stepping away July 5th or something. And I've got till, but who's counting, January 1st at noon. So I'm intensely focused on Newton right now, but I'm very sure I won't go from 100 miles an hour to 0. So I look forward to forging out meaningful, non-24/7 situation.
Kate, you're gonna get a fireworks show.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Big celebration.
And I am in the parade.
Yes.
That's great.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll start here then.
This question's for Mayor Fuller, but I'd love to hear Kate's perspective on this too. So I was telling my favorite Mayor Fuller stories when I first came in here. One of the stories she overheard me sharing was when she was recruiting me to come to the city of Newton. I was very safe in my previous community, 14 years. I was involved in the community, my children were there. We made a connection. She called me and said, you know, what can we do to have you be interested in entertaining coming to the city of Newton? And I said to her, Mayor Fuller, I need a seat at your table. And I wasn't just talking about human resources, so I work in human resources. I was talking about a woman in leadership. You know, it took me time to have a seat at the table where I was previously, and I shared that with her, and I needed to know that I would have that on her team. And she said to me, you will always have a seat at my table. So my question is, when I came to Newton, not only did you give us that seat, but you created a safe environment for your leadership team and others to share from their professions, their personal experiences, and disagree with each other. Can you speak to why you think it's important to create that environment where people can disagree in a safe space?
Kate alluded to this just a few minutes ago. Kate and I do not know everything, nor do we have all the answers, and sometimes our first instinct is wrong. And so we really need our team members to be able to say, I hear you, but you're thinking about this wrong. Let me bring this forward. But the other harder part about our jobs is the easier, more straightforward decisions get made before they even get to us. Often when it gets to us, it's shades of gray, and or you've got two department heads who disagree what the right way forward is. So you have to think it through and still have the two department heads working collaboratively afterwards with each other and hopefully with you as well. So that ability to entertain different ideas openly, thoughtfully, but actually make a decision so something keeps moving forward. I think, I know Kate's really good at it. And can I just bring up a word that has been banned by our current president, the word diversity. Diversity means it's our strength. It's how we manage. We need diverse views. We need diverse lived experiences. We need people at the table who are bringing different ideas forward, and sometimes that comes from their personal backgrounds. We are a much stronger management team and city when we are embracing diversity and including other voices. And that's an aspect of it.
Best DEI hires ever. I guess I would just add to that the practical way that people work and learn and think. So I work, learn, and think by having an idea and going right on it and taking my time and writing the list and getting it done and all the steps. And I need someone at the table who said, wait, are we going the right place? They're the big thinker kinds, you know, or somebody's like, we need to do this faster, and, you know, so you need people who have different styles than you so that you don't run into the trap of, you know, missing a good opportunity or being really slow or being, you know, looking like you're not responsive.
All right, we have another question over here.
Thanks. Jim Matthews from Needham. Needham and Newton are great communities. And in part of that, that's the work of the tip city and town government and the leadership you provide. But one of the things, my observation is the people who do their job really well make it look a lot easier than it is. And this is going to be a big change, both for the city and the town. And I wanted, so before you leave, what advice do you have for us about this transition and what to look for and how to try to keep on the right course?
So Dan Matthews is, I think, the only living person who voted for me twice. Is that right? Thank you, Dan, for giving me this opportunity. I would say the transition in Needham is the community is incredibly well managed. We have amazing volunteers who are setting policy, and we have a really dedicated staff who, as we talked about, in a time when, you know, there are places you can go and work that you're not you're not at work 3 nights a week, or people are sending you emails saying that you're wrong all the time. But in the face of that, having the elected officials in the community supporting the staff, giving them the room to make the decisions. For us, I think in Needham, we've been successful because the select board takes its role in setting goals really seriously. They spend the time to do it. Lately, they've been willing to narrow this list down from 120 to something more manageable. But when you have people whose job it is to get things done, it's a lot easier to get things done when you know where the community wants to go. And when something comes up, and it's like something that's out of nowhere, you know, you need to be willing to have the conversation with the elected officials that say, if you want this, something else on the list has to go. And it's taken us a while to get there, but I think it's made us an incredibly well-oiled machine in terms of moving forward. So continuing to set goals, continuing to support the staff, and continuing just the support of public service in general. And in my view, 96% of Needhamites rate Needham as a place to live as excellent or good. Just remember that they're out there and they're happy.
Dan, love the question. There's a little bit of difference in our jobs, and town versus city, part-time select board of elected officials with a full-time town manager who is shielded a bit from the currents of electoral politics. A city, there's two types of cities in Massachusetts. One's called a strong form of mayor, the other a weak form of mayor. Cambridge is a weak form of mayor. Their mayor is a city councilor who has more of the ceremonial role. Newton happens to be the strong form of mayor, where I have to do the politics stuff, and yes, be there at the ribbon cuttings with Chamber of Commerce, who's always there. We always both bring our big scissors, but also I'm the town manager too. So the finances and the accounting and the managerial hiring and firing. So it's slightly different. And so far there is normally if there's an open seat for mayor in Newton, it's a big field. You get 5, 6, 7, 8 people running, a bunch of them really serious candidates. We have exactly one person who's announced that they're running for mayor, and it's not that he's scared off, that he's such a lock that nobody else. You kind of have to be crazy to want this job. Just saying. So it's a funny thing. These are great communities. They are rock solid. There's a ton of work to do. People are anxious. Our kids are needy. Our schools need more funding. There's more roads to pave. We've got to support building more housing. Transportation it was easy driving here this morning. Yeah, anybody find that? But you never know. There are personal crises. Our police officers go to just some god-awful situations. Stay involved. The fact that you showed up this morning, you carved out the time to be here, means you care about these communities. You want to know the other people in your own town or city and make some connections elsewhere. Just keep showing up and caring. Don't give up. And of all the places at the very local level, you make a difference. So stay with us. Keep believing we can do this, particularly at the local level.
Great, and we have one more question for you.
Okay, I'm going to bring it home before they do their wrap-ups. So I want to bring it back to work-life balance. For the two of you, you both mentioned how important it was when you get home to have that support network. And I've been at the Chamber for almost 11 years. I have 3 children. They have a drinking game, and every time I say the word chamber, they're like, oh my God, again, the chamber stories. I'd like to hear from you two what your children take away from your years and years of experience of giving yourself to 2 communities, and what they most look forward to having now that you'll be not as.
In my house, it's Needham. You know what? She's from Needham. Of course she's from Needham. Everyone's from Needham. It all comes back to Needham. when my kids were little, they went to library trustee meetings. They went to, they'll never forget a meeting at Broadmeadow to rebuild the library. They're still talking about it. They say, you have meetings to talk about having meetings. And that is what we do. Remarkably, my older daughter is the deputy town administrator in Westwood, right? So she went to enough meetings that she said, this is what I should do. The balance is, it's not possible in any profession. We always have said, like, if you're in budgets, then you work a lot, and if it's summer, you go home early on Fridays, right? So balance is, you have to look at it on the long view, but it really, if you're involved with Needham, it just comes up everywhere, and we're really proud of it. The whole family's really proud of it.
I've had no work-life balance, literally, and some of it's the nature of the job, and I think a lot of it is the nature of our times. I'm not sure, I couldn't have done this job when my kids were little. It wouldn't have been possible. It is really sweet. I've got 3 grown sons. They are incredibly proud of me. It's lovely. It's very sweet. It feels good, and it's also interesting. There's lots of different ways to be married to somebody who's in the public eye. And Joe, we did it back when, after that chamber breakfast, we talked about it. He was been totally supportive, but there was a deal. I don't have to go to Newton things. I'm not going to be, I'm just not. And that was the deal, and it's worked beautifully, because then I can come home and kvetch. And it's worked for our marriage, but we also met when we were 13. So we go way back. So, and that foundation was critical.
I love that. So we just have a couple minutes left. I want to give you both just final words.
So my final words, this is Women's History Month, for now. So this morning, I have something of an unorthodox Lenten devotional, and the blessing this morning was called Stay Angry. And stay angry. Angry is a response. Anger is a response to a barrier being crossed, that something's not right. It's a response to injustice and grief. It's not a negative response. So if we're angry, we know that there's something that we need to do. So my advice to all of the women in the room is just stay angry. Thanks.
I was thinking of closing with something else, but I got to react to that. It's funny, so much anger gets directed to me that think about how to use the anger effectively, and action is necessary, and high passions are warranted, and anger is real. Our disappointment, our distress, our anger are fundamental, but I don't know the answer yet, but I do know, I can't believe what people email to me or say to me or put on social media about me, and in coming out of anger. So let's all brainstorm a little bit how to use the anger. And sometimes individual leaders deserve it and need it. But I'll give you one last story. The judge in Washington, D.C., who made the ruling about turning the planes to El Salvador back, a relative of his was tracked down, lives in Newton, and now she has death threats That's anger in an ugly, wrong way. So let's all keep thinking about how to stay angry and use it in a way that is appropriate.
And to make positive change.
Lovely. You brought it home.
All right, well, let's give a big round of applause.
And let's also thank Priscilla for doing a great job. So I have one quick story, and then I just want to offer my own thanks, and thanks to all of you for being part of this. So a couple years ago, you mentioned in one of our chamber events, but a different one that I remember was we had a fireside chat with the two of you and George Perkins from Watertown and Megan Jupp from Wellesley, and it was this kind of setup, except that we had a podium for the first speaker meeting, and we had totally forgotten to move the podium. This podium was pretty big and heavy too. We just totally forgot. It wasn't even in our plans as we planned the event. The four of them acted quickly on their feet and moved that. So right on. And that is kind of what local leadership is about, and the kind of character that these women bring and our leaders bring, and we're so grateful. My apologies to both of you for all the times I've been a brat, and my thanks for all the times you've forgiven me. But really, thank you for what you've done for our communities, for our businesses, for our nonprofits, and for all your leadership. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great day.